Morning additional math students. This is the video that I said I would do for you. So here we go. We're going to continue with exercise 7.1. You can see it's on page 134 there on the screen. I'm going to look at question number 3 now, which is 3 cos squared theta minus 2 equals 0. Okay, so 3 cos squared theta minus 2 equals 0. Now you should try and do this ahead of me, so if you want to pause the video, then try and do it and then see if you get the right answer, then follow through. That's the best way to learn. So that means that cos squared theta must be equal to, I'm going to take the 2 over, so that'll get me 2 there, and I'll divide by this 3. So I get 2 over 3. And that means that cos theta is the square root of 2 over 3. Okay, now remember, always with square roots we get a plus and a minus. This is important when you square root values. Okay, so now we're going to want to go and find what is the value for the theta angle. And remember, we're always interested first in the positive because we want to get the quadrant 1. So the quadrant 1 angle, the theta will be equal to the inverse cos of the value of root 2 over 3. And of course we'll do it for the plus and the minus, but we'll apply the plus and minus in a moment. So we'll go to the calculator now and we'll type in 2 divided by 3 and find the square root of that answer. And that equals let me see here. Sorry, square root 2 that's 0.816. Okay, root 2 over 3 or root 2 over 3 is 0.816, right? So if I inverse that now for the cos, okay, so I'm going to inverse cos that value that I get, and I get an answer of 35.3 degrees. So my theta in quadrant 1 is 35.3. Now of course we know that cos is positive in the first but also the fourth quadrant, so the other answer must be 360 minus the 35.3. But I've also got the negative values, and where is cos negative? Well, the cos is negative in the second and the third quadrant. So the other answers I'm also looking for are the 180 minus 35.3 and the 180 plus 35.3. So there we go, and you can work those answers out just to get the actual answers. Okay, I'm sure that's easy enough to do. So that's the question for number 3. We're going to then do question number I did number 5 yesterday, so I won't do that. I'm now going to just quickly do let's do C of 6C. So that's the one that says tan theta is 2,15. Okay, so tan theta is 2,15. Let's write it on the screen. Fairly easy one here. Okay, 2,15, that means theta must be the inverse tan of 2,15. And being the inverse tan of that, we'll go and type that again on our calculator. So let's do that. Tan 2.15 inverse tan just need to do that again. Inverse tan of 2.15 equals 65.1 degrees. Okay, so 65.1, and again it's the positive value, so we got our quadrant 1 answer, but we know that tan is positive in quadrants 1 and 3, and so therefore we also want a 3 answer, which is 180 plus 65,1 happens to be 245,1 degrees. So So there are my two answers for my theta for 6C. Okie dokes. I'm going to go a little bit further now and look at some of these ones with the negative angles, and let's see how we're going to approach those. So look at number 7 now. The angles here are given as negative ratios. So they want sine of minus 30. Now remember, with a negative angle on our axes or our Cartesian plane, okay, if I'm going negative, I'm going backwards, not forwards. I'm not going anti-clockwise, I'm coming clockwise backwards, okay. And so negative 30 is an angle that is 30 degrees going this way. You'll see that it ends up in quadrant 4, okay, and you know that sine is negative for quadrant 4, okay. So there's a couple of ways of looking at this. I'm just going to write sine minus 30 on the screen. So basically we are asked, the angle is minus 30 degrees. We are asked to find what is the sine of this value. Well, I can do a couple of things. I could say that this is the same as finding, remember that if it's sine of minus 30, there was a formula that said you can change it to minus sine of positive 30. Well, that makes sense because remember the 30 degree angle is the one in quadrant 1, okay? And so all the angles in the quadrant 4 are negative of what the quadrant 1 angles are. So then that should be easy, and you should know that sine 30 is a half. If you're not sure, check it on your calculator. So the answer here is negative a half, okay? It's negative a half because it's minus sine of positive 30, okay? All right, let's go on to the next one there quickly, 7b. And 7b says the following. It is cos of minus pi over 4. So now suddenly we're working with radians, because the minute you see a pi in an angle, you know that you're working with radians. So cos of minus pi over 4. Now, pi over 4, you have to ask yourself, well, what angle is that? Okay, and again, you should get familiar with your radian measures. Remember that pi degrees, okay, happened to be 180, or pi radians, should I say, happened to be 180 degrees. So pi over 4 must be 45 degrees. So this is really the same as cos of minus 45. But now I don't really want you to go and change it, because you can leave it as pi over 4 as long as your calculator then stays in radian mode when you find your angle or you find your ratio, okay. Now again, if you are minus pi over 4, you are going backwards, okay, on your, and if you're going 45 degrees backwards, you're going to end up again in quadrant 4. So this would match the 45 degree angle in quadrant 1, but what would the 45 degree angle be in quadrant 4? Well, for cos it's positive, okay, so this would still give the same, so this would be the same as cos of 45 degrees, okay, it would be the same as cos of 45 degrees. Now on your calculator, if you go and change your mode to radian, then you can go what is cos of pi over 4. So you can say cos, and then you'll say pi, just find my pi button here quickly, pi divided by 4, close brackets, and you should get an answer of 0.707, okay. Now more than that, you should actually realize that that value of 0.707 is actually not just a decimal value, but you should know that the cos of 45 is a value known as root 2 over 2. So I'm going to write both of those values on here. So cos of 45 would be root 2 over 2, or 0.707. Now if you happened to be in degree mode and you typed pi over 4, you might get something completely different, okay, and you wouldn't get the right answer. So check that you get this right answer by either using it in radian measure, which I recommend in radian mode on your calculator, and make sure you get that right answer. So again, all these little details need to be taken good care of, otherwise you're going to run into trouble. Right, so we're going to look now at the next one, which is tan of minus 200. Okay, tan of minus 200. Now again, if you went 200 degrees in the negative direction, you would go around and you'd end up about here. Okay, because remember that's a full 180 backwards, so I'm 20 degrees past 180, so this angle is a 20 degree angle over here. 20 degrees. Okay, and being a tan ratio, tan is in quadrant 2 negative. Okay, so that would be the same as writing negative tan of positive 200. And if we went positive 200, we'd go all the way around, we'd end up here. Okay, and we would end up 20 degrees on this side. Okay, yes, just going around the other way, and we know that that would give us a positive answer. So now you've got to say, well, what is the same equivalent angle as tan of 200? Well, it would be negative tan now of not 200, but we are 180 plus 20, so that's 20 degrees. Okay, because then that's positive 200 would be in quadrant 3, 20 degrees past the 180 line. And remember, the quadrant 3 angle is 180 plus theta, so 180 plus theta equals your 200, so therefore the theta itself must be 20. So now you can go to your calculator and you can type in tan of 20 degrees just to get your answer. And so let's do that. Tan of 20 is equal to 2.23. Okay, tan of 20 is equal to 2.23. Sorry, I'm lying to you because I'm in radian mode. I was going to say that value doesn't sound right. So let's just do that again. Tan of 20 in degree mode is 0.36. There we go. Or 0.37. No, sorry, 36 if you round up. Okay, so 0.36. So the answer here will be negative 0.36. Right, do you see how you've got to be so careful with the negatives and which mode you're in? So many little things in trig go wrong if you're not aware of what you're doing. Okay, so make sure that you keep these things all very organized in your head as you're working with them. I'm going to do the next one, and this one now is sec minus 150. Okay, so sec minus 150. Right, so sec minus 150, sec relates to the cos ratio, so that's the same as 1 over cos minus 150. You see how I changed the ratio so that I put it 1 over the whole thing. Okay, now we say, okay, well, where's minus 150? Again, quadrant, 150 degrees will get me to quadrant 3, and cos is negative in quadrant 3, so this would be the same as the negative cos of positive. Sorry, let me just say that again. The negative cos, okay, no, because cos is negative there, so let's find out what the angle is. Sorry, because 150, if this is quadrant 3, it's 180 plus. Okay, so if I've gone 150 degrees here, this angle must be 30 degrees. Okay, so this is the same as negative cos of 30 degrees. That's what we're interested in. Okay, it's negative cos of 30 degrees. Okay, all right, so what is negative cos of 30? Well, cos of 30 is root 3 over 2, or a value, if you go into your calculator again, 30 cos of 30 is 0.866. Okay, so this comes out as negative root 3 over 2, or negative 0.86 or 87 if you round up. But now remember, that's the value underneath the line here, so this must actually be 1 over that value. So 1 over minus root 3 over 2 is the same as minus 2 over root 3. It just inverts, okay? And 1 over 0.877, if I say that comes out to 1.15. So 2 over root 3 would be 1,15. So negative 1,15 or negative 2 over root 3 is the answer for this one. All right, well, that should be able to then, you should be able to try the couple of those further on there. Okay, the sec, or the cot, the sine of 4 pi over 3 and the cosec of minus 2 pi over 3, those should be all done. Okay. Number 8 says show that sine minus theta is minus sine theta. Now showing things can be quite tricky sometimes, so let me just go there and show you quickly. So sine minus theta, we can say that means we go to quadrant 4 theta degrees, okay? But quadrant 4, okay, if you are theta degrees down, okay, then you know that sine is negative in quadrant 4. So it is the same as the negative value of sine theta in quadrant 1. And you can just explain this like this as I'm doing, okay? And you should probably go and draw a picture here to show that the thetas are the same, and therefore that is why sine theta or sine minus theta is the same as negative sine theta. They do a couple of other things here as well. Sorry, let's just go back there. They do cos of minus theta is the same as cos of theta, okay? So you can just use that formula, and tan of minus theta is equal to minus tan theta, okay? And you can show those again by each working within each quadrant. All right, let's move this up a little bit. They've got a couple more equations there to solve. I don't think those are any more difficult to do than the ones we already have done. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave that there for you to finish. That's just a quick video. I'm going to do another video quite soon as well on the next section, but we'll just leave that one for this section.